You began to see the machinery to set up this one world currency before it was public knowledge.
Correct. And not just the currency, but the whole move toward global government from a political standpoint, and also seeing a lot of the beginnings, at least, the seeds of this attempt to bring all the world's religions together into a type of unification or even one world religion.
Now, some might say it would be a wonderful thing to unify all of the religions. Let's face it, most wars have occurred for religious reasons.
Yes, on the surface it sounds good, but when you look at the people that are at the forefront of promoting this agenda, generally speaking, many of them are very anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, and involved in the occult. That's the part that we are not really being told publicly. So a good face is being put on this for public consumption, but when you begin to research it and look who is pushing this agenda and specifically how they want to accomplish it, it would bring in a very dark era, I believe.
Well, you started attending United Nations or United Nations sponsored events or having friends attend them. What did you find out?
Well, mainly through friends that have attended these meetings, we've learned that there is a very strong political agenda at work, and that it is to a large degree being spiritually motivated. Again, that's the part that doesn't seem to come through the mass media.
What do you mean by spiritually motivated?
Well, at the recent UN Millennium Forum that a friend attended, and we'll be talking to him shortly here, many of the organizations that were represented there represent religious groups. For example, the Baha'i International Community, a lot of...
they're doing a lot of work in Israel. I mean, I couldn't believe it. They built a beautiful temple. They bought the road going directly to the water because they believe their Messiah is going to come out of the sea and walk up that road. Yeah. So they bought it from the town in Israel.
Yes, the Baha'is are involved in this. There were a number of Roman Catholic organizations that were directly participating in the United Nations Millennium Forum. In fact, the registration process was overseen by Franciscans International. Also at that meeting was Lucis Trust. Now here's something very interesting, and we can document this, and I've done so in my book. Lucis Trust was originally founded under the name Lucifer Publishing Company.
Now Lucifer is the name for the devil.
Another name for Satan in the Bible, correct. It was founded under that name, and then 2 years later its name was changed to Lucis Trust. This was back in the 1920s. And this organization still exists today. And at this UN event, they were passing out copies of a prayer called the Great Invocation. Now, this is an occult prayer, which they believe if they can get enough people in the world...
But this is the United Nations.
This is United Nations.
I mean, even in the United States, they don't want prayer in the schools. And they're having a prayer, and it's sort of like an ESP, New Age type prayer.
Exactly. The whole purpose of the prayer, they believe if they can get enough people reciting this, that it will speed up the coming of the Christ. And who they mean by the Christ is different than who I mean by the Christ. They are actually talking here about the Antichrist, a coming global ruler. It's a very occult organization, but they are very well accepted in UN circles.
Hold that thought. We're going to be back after the break, and we're going to talk to an individual that actually was at this UN-sponsored meeting, that was a spy, that found out things that were not reported in the press.